Welcome to UC Today with me, David Dungay. Today, I'm joined by NFON's UK MD, Myles Leach. Welcome to the show, Myles. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, David. Nice to be here.
Excellent. So today, Myles, we're going to be talking about hybrid working and the channel and how they can approach that world. But before we get into that conversation, do you want to give us a bit of an introduction to yourself and the business?
Yeah, sure. So, as you say, I'm Myles Leach. I'm Managing Director of NFON UK. NFON itself has been in business since 2007. German-based business. We're now in 15 countries across Europe. Opened up into the UK in 2013. I joined in 2014. So it's been an interesting journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm sure the last 12 months have been an interesting journey for you as well, there, Myles.
Yeah.
We're at a strange point in time at the moment. We're having this conversation at the beginning of July. The UK, we're getting back to the office now. Other parts of the world will be getting back to their offices as well, I'm sure. First of all, I want to ask you, what kind of long-term commitments are you seeing from customers now with regards to this new world of hybrid work that we all find ourselves in?
I think the main commitment really is about the change in behaviour. I think there's challenges around local kit, around access, and all those things. That's normal business challenges, but it's really that change in behaviour.
Yeah.
If you go back to February, March last year, when we went into lockdown, did everyone really think we'd still be in this position, 15 months later? I don't think so. And I think the reality was in everybody's minds, we'll go back to normal after a couple of months. The normal then is not the normal now. And I think that's the biggest challenge for businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you look back to March last year, it was very much a sort of a sticky plaster attitude, wasn't it, at the time?
Yeah.
It was just, let's get home, let's make it work. And now the ethos seems to be, well, this is here to stay. How can we make this work more efficiently over the long term? So, I mean, you mentioned a few challenges there. What are the big challenges at the moment today when it comes to the adoption of these new technologies for remote or hybrid working?
Oh, I think it's the usual, really. I mean, the two main challenges that businesses are facing. Obviously, we're a channel business, so our customers are our partners. But when you look at their customer base, the challenges they face are around probably HR and tech, because the question of remote working was, it wasn't a norm pre-COVID, and now I'm afraid it probably is going to become a norm. And I think people and companies are struggling to understand what will be the impact to their business, how can they do it in the best way for their business and for their staff. And I think you can set up your business and you can make sure you've got everything right as far as an IT point of view, but then you've got the issues of your staff, and it's making sure that the staff are happy, are comfortable. We've got challenges. We've only got two offices in the UK, one in London, one in Manchester. But for our staff, having to travel on, let's say the tube in London, that's a big thing. If you're sat in your own car driving to the office, well, and we never would have thought of those being business challenges before.
Yeah.
So it's varied, but I would have said those are the two big things: the actual hardware and tech, and how the staff are reacting.
And from a channel perspective, obviously NFON, channel business first and foremost. How have your partners reacted to this? It wasn't just a technology question, was it? When we all, had to go home, were your partners, ready for this absolutely monumental shift towards hybrid working?
No, if I'm honest, I don't. There were very few partners who were. I think partners could be split into two types really. You have a partner who was selling on-prem as their main business, and maybe cloud was used as a second option depending on what the customer wanted. And that's now been flipped on its head. Is that cloud remote working is what the end user will call it. Is going to be the norm to some extent. Um, and I think that's the big change for our partners. And how could you be prepared for it? How could you be prepared for suddenly within a 2, 3, 4 week period, offices were closed,
Yeah.
and you had no choice. You couldn't have a 3, 6 month lead time into, oh, let's maybe look at this new technology. How can it affect us? Let's read this magazine. Let's go to this show. As a business owner, they had to adopt something new straight away. There was no choice. And I think, that was good for those partners who were agile, and could bring on that new adoption quickly, um, and support their customers, because that's what is needed for the end user.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the focus of this conversation around hybrid work, initially that centered on the core technology. How do I use our core technology to make video calls? The email, the collaboration, those kinds of things. But I mean, where's the focus today? We see these sort of peripheral technologies coming in. You mentioned HR. Software there a moment ago, Myles, and we're seeing other things around monitoring and analytics. Well-being's another issue that sort of popped up in the last 12 months. Where are you seeing the focus around this hybrid work now?
Well, I think it is around that. It is around, whereas it's not just about technology. It's about where are your staff going to be? I mean, when you looked at hybrid working, 12, 18 months ago, you were looking at the technology that would allow you to leave the office and still be in communication. But now you're looking at that same technology, but maybe I won't be in the office. Maybe I will always be remote. And I think, that's, and obviously it's accelerated the whole hybrid working model, to an extent that nobody, as I say, was prepared for.
Yeah. So in terms of value now that the channel can bring to customers, where are the channel going to be most effective in delivering this new world we find ourselves in?
I think when you look at those partners of ours who are successful now, it's been about how they've supported their customers, but it's also been about not one. It's not just about one single technology. Obviously, I'm here today representing NFON, which is a cloud telephony provider, but those partners who could also maybe offer a mobile backup, they could offer connectivity. So it's that whole suite of business applications which allows the customer, the end user, to carry on working in some sort of normality. And those partners who can adopt those different technologies are the ones who are being successful. And unfortunately, those who tend to just focus on, what would have been on-prem type equipment, and who can't take up those new technologies, they are struggling.
So, Myles, we've been talking about this for a long time. Those partners that haven't embraced the cloud quickly enough. How many partners have you seen make big changes in their portfolios based on what's going on? Have you really seen a big broadening by some of those partners in the cloud space of those those products, those services, to really capture more of those customers today?
Yeah, absolutely. We've always had, the 80/20 rule, where 20% of your 80% of your business is done by 20% of your partners. But we find that more and more partners now, they've had no choice. It's about us supporting them. So as much as it's about them supporting their customers, we've had to support them, right down to the details of training up their support team, training up their sales team, because as we said, it really did happen overnight. And I think the smart ones are those who have realised as quickly as possible and have taken up the adoption of the new technologies.
Yeah, you mentioned selling the technology. Obviously, a lot of channel businesses, they are sales machines. Of course, sales has changed slightly in the last 12 months. Not being able to get into customer premises been a big problem. But how do you view the sales landscape today for partners?
Oh, look, it's so difficult at the moment. We're only now, I think, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, having face-to-face meetings with some of our top partners. Everything else has been done remotely, and look, we've all got used to remote meetings, love them or hate them. We've had no choice. But I think the face-to-face meeting is certainly still very important to us, and I think it's about our team going into a partner, sitting with them, reassuring them, helping to train them. Of course, we can do online training. Of course, we can have remote meetings. But I think the hybrid really comes into it when you can still do both. And I think those partners who embrace that and who realize that they do need help because they're changing their business model.
Yeah.
And it is a huge challenge for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Myles, tell me, we're looking at the second half of 2021 at the moment, and into 2022. Hybrid working. What does it look like from a channel perspective first of all, and then a customer perspective ultimately?
Well, I think for a channel perspective from NFON, it means increased sales. It is, it's as black and white as that. I think the take up of our technology, certainly in the SME type arena, is accelerating more than we could have thought. So, that throws up challenges for us and our partners. Hybrid working, it's then, the basic telephony becomes the core as always, but now people don't just want basic telephony. They realize that they want an app on their phone. They want to be able to have a video call, and all the other business applications will start to merge into one. As you said earlier, we've talked about it for many years, but the acceleration over the last 12 months has been phenomenal. And I think, it's certainly not something that will revert back to the normality that was in February 2020, because that's gone.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, if you could put a number on that acceleration, some people have said, we've pressed fast forward by 2 years. I've heard other people by 5 years. Where would you put that acceleration?
Yeah, I would put somewhere in between. I think, it depends on which sector you're talking about. We deal with public sector, for instance. I mean, they've been talking about remote working for 4, 5, 6 years. Now, they came at it for a different reason. They wanted to save money by saving on their estate. So, that sector has already been talking about remote working in different ways. I think as far as the private sector is concerned, it's probably been pushed forward by 3, 4 years. I think when I look at what partners are telling us, when I look at the take up of cloud from partners who weren't really focusing on cloud, it's accelerated, more in the last 12, 18 months than we had planned over the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and for partners today, obviously we're talking about channel. What would you say to those partners that are really looking to maximise the value of their customers over the next year or so? Where should they be concentrating their efforts, do you think?
Well, other than selling NFON, I think it's about understanding the challenges of those businesses. Their customers. It's about, and how can they fulfill that? Because if you look at it's difficult enough for the partners, but the partners, they know the industry. When you look at an end user's gone from having all its staff in one office, maybe with all that control, understanding how many calls are being made, how quickly calls are being, answered, and all those down to earth basic challenges suddenly are now being dealt with by everybody sat in a home office. So the smart partners are the ones who are understanding their market, because it's not about pushing out what we think in the industry. It's about understanding what the market actually needs now. And we see that in the successful partners who have taken that up. And it's all about how they support those customers.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Myles, I think that's a great place to end today's discussion. Thank you so much for joining me.
No, thank you very much. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Be watching me, David Dungay, on UC Today. If you like today's conversation, please give us a like and a share on social media. It's much appreciated. That's it from me. I'll see you next time.